Some individuals will find what I'm about to say quite uncomfortable. The most dominant female boxer of all time is Claressa Shields. Additionally, it appears that she is a struggling rapper because she recently got a contract. Now pay attention, Ray's spouse and Claressa's lover. Yes, we are discussing Pap. Without a doubt, he's the one mediating these transactions. And let's be honest, before anyone misinterprets it, although he's a gifted rapper, he never really rose to prominence. Without Fat Joe and the Terror Squad floating Remy Ma's career, he was unable to even get her a top-tier deal. He's approaching 50 now, and he's out there negotiating a deal for Claressa that makes her out to be a rapper with a poor record.
Both of my 1 millions, I was supposed to get them both Olympic gold medals. And then I have 19 world championships, 4 undisputed titles, and 5 different divisions. There's a lot of math and stuff going on here, but I feel like I'm finally getting my just due, and this would not have been possible without Papoose. Papoose and went, yes.
All right, boo. So let's talk about this Claressa Shields deal. We're going to break it down from top to bottom, and we're going to look at who is actually...
Okay, boo. Now let's discuss this Claressa Shields. We're going to dissect it from top to bottom, looking at who is truly benefiting and who needs her to have this arrangement. After that, you can decide for yourself whether or not you believe this is a good thing, because people are calling it a win. She is signed to a record label, which I know most of us are aware of, so I'm referring to it as context dependent. Not signed to a music label or boxing promoter, baby, and that's important, particularly if she plans to give Ray's husband credit. You are familiar with her man. We all know that she needs some individuals who genuinely care about her to assist her in making these decisions, especially given her current behavior. Furthermore, I'm not sure if Pap is that individual. And don't be too hard on him, as he has undoubtedly succeeded lyrically. His influence on hip-hop cannot be diminished. To be honest, though, he wasn't over Remy's career. Fat Joe and the Terror Squad is what made Remy who she is, even though he may have nailed some of the greatest bars for her. Yes, I am aware that he held her down while she was incarcerated. However, Remy has already disclosed that he used the money she was receiving, royalties and residual income from her work with the Terror Squad, to hold her down. Pap has never been able to hoist himself up and put himself on like that, nor has his wife, the mother of the golden child, been able to do the same. Why does boxer Claressa Shields believe he can help her? We need to break this pact because of this, and I don't see anyone doing it. Look it over. Let's examine what Ren Records is truly providing for Claressa. This operates more like management than a typical boxing promotion, despite the company's name. Typically, this means that they are expected to advise her on her career, negotiate on her behalf, potentially control her branding and appearances and cross-industry moves through music, media, endorsements, and all that, and occasionally take a management percentage, which can range from 10 to 20%. The main problem is that Records isn't a powerful force in sports management with decades of boxing experience. And that matters, since Records is essentially acting as her management team, just like Pap is acting as her manager. All right? Thus, she has an additional layer of individuals in her pockets. The real boxing promoter in the conventional sense is Selita Promotions. They're responsible for securing the fights and collaborating with broadcasters such as HBO and ESPN. They manage every aspect of the event's logistics. They assemble the cards and pitch the battle to the networks. Consider Selita to be the event planner and broker. In other words, they will essentially build Claressa's purses, promote her to the networks, and package the product, that is, the opponent, the undercard, the location, and the broadcast. They are not meant to oversee her life or her long-term strategy. The network is somewhat like HBO, correct? They would purchase the event, cover the cost of the license, and broadcast the fight. Basically, let's consider this. She has many layers in between. Therefore, unless someone at the top is a shark, the fighter's net worth kind of falls really quickly when you layer management, promoters, broker TV deals, and all that. Top-tier fighters either self-manage with a boxing lawyer, have sport-specific management, or make direct promotional arrangements with fewer parties involved. There is no denying Clarissa's historical dominance. However, this is the danger. Claressa will be overworked, underpaid, and overexposed if Records, who lacks elite boxing negotiation skills, acts as her manager and Celita is prudently brokering deals. You get a lot of big publicity, small checks, and long-term regret in this way. That's how you get folks who will always be angry with the industry to talk about how they created something. You may not be old enough, but do you recall how Little Richard would always announce an award and remark, "You know, and I'm the winner? I constructed this." That is the source of that type of rage. She essentially has a 1960s music deal, similar to how black people used to make music but were unable to make much money despite being prevalent. That's essentially what she received. Let's talk about money, because people lie, but statistics don't. She received a $3 million sign-on bonus, and the contract is reportedly worth about $8 million. Yes, it sounds nice, especially to me because I don't have a contract worth $8 million. However, let's discuss it. When you consider that Canelo earns that simply by showing up, or that Floyd Mayweather earned that $8 million before the bail was posted. Therefore, we can honestly state that that is not champ money. That is literally nothing at all. I apologize, but how can you be both unquestionable and a chump at the same time? Claressa's domination is what makes her so important, right? So just give us some thought. Identify a powerful male boxer who's signed to a record label. I'll hold off. You are unable to. You simply cannot. From the pay-of-view, gates, promoters, and broadcasters, rather than streaming platforms, are the sources of boxing revenue. What this contract actually implies, sweetheart, is that women boxers still don't know how to pay power. This is not a front-door deal, but a backdoor one. Furthermore, because there is undoubtedly a problem there, this does not prove that she's stupid. However, it makes Papoose feel conceited and makes him appear foolish. According to his own comments, Papoose's desire to preserve his brand and avoid selling out was the key reason he never became well known. However, you have your daughter sitting at the table with little hats, negotiating arrangements that are truly only advantageous to you. Because let's face it, Papoose would never be able to earn that much money on the field without Claressa. We have to discuss the long game now, sweetie. Boxing is over. However, branding doesn't. Corporate sponsors don't give a damn who initiated it. Whoever appears predictable is important to them. She was meant to learn these skills from Ila Ailey as she worked to develop her and teach her the game. However, she was just unable to understand what Ila was writing. She shut it down and minimized it to jealousy due to her narc tendencies, which was simply really thinking about it. Brands don't view Claressa's frequent online arguments, retorts, and outbursts in comment sections. Yes, it's entertaining for both of us, but brands perceive danger. Is this a victory then? Yes, in the short term. However, discipline is crucial in the long run. Additionally, because legacy money flows very differently from what Claressa has been trained to do, we know that she lacks emotional intelligence. Therefore, let's take a moment to raise this discussion because it becomes impossible to correct the imbalance once you look at it structurally. Claressa Shields is the only athlete listed on the Win Records website right now. Furthermore, we are discussing more than just athletes. Regardless of gender, Claressa Shields is the most decorated and unchallenged boxer of all time. Now let's examine the remainder of the roster. 3 unknown rappers, including Papoose, an extremely gifted but commercially unadorned rapper without a Grammy. So structurally, this is a relatively straightforward situation. This business is currently being supported by Claressa Shields. The visibility is here. They don't mind the crash. Because of this, without Claressa Shields, nobody would ever be discussing Win Records. She gains credibility. The key is her.
Yeah, I went and spent a good 90K on my wrist, and then I got a good 60K in my hand. You feel me? Yeah. This that fight money.
This fight money.
Fight for real. Yeah, knock him out, Debo. She Debo. Yeah, a little 90K on them. Match the shoes.
Stop playing with him. Stop playing.
You playing with me. Hello? Yeah, no.
Who you talking to, champ?
Nobody important.
Since incentives reveal the truth, let's now discuss them. Papoose is not making money for this label. No commercial leverage, no chart dominance, no sold-out tours. However, he has succeeded in securing the largest asset this organization has ever dealt with, which indicates that his value, relevance, and leverage all increased. Claressa just becomes the engine. He receives a commission, and the label gains exposure. And take note of another thing. It's been more than 10 years since we've seen this much Papoose in the news. Her social capital is literally being eroded by her public crashes, while his is growing. He's being scheduled. He's being interviewed. A second look is being given to him. Additionally, he may now present himself as a person that artists should contact if they're in a hurry to close a contract. And all he needs to do is demonstrate this idea with Claressa's experience. Despite being married, he hasn't even filed for a formal separation. So let's be absolutely clear about what that entails. By taking advantage of Claressa's prime, he is raising the net worth of his legal family. Now, because boxing is harsh, there is an aspect that people don't want to think about. The world won't be kind to Claressa, honey, if she has an injury, is unable to perform, or decides to give birth to the child she keeps claiming she wants. She won't be regarded as the greatest boxer of all time, baby. She will be remembered, Muffin. She is going to be reframed. She'll turn into the crash outside chick who lost after running up a bag. Baby, Papoose, he is still talented. As a rapper, he is still credible. Additionally, he may highlight this transaction in his career as a man who facilitated a historic signing. Honey, that's the imbalance. Therefore, my response to the question of who this transaction actually helps isn't sentimental, honey. It is structural. It's just the facts. Because she cares about more than just her career. She cares about everyone. Therefore, I wanted to be really explicit about the fact that companies don't invest in turmoil. All right? Once more, they invest in predictability. This is why Layla has closed a number of multi-million-dollar deals since retiring. This is why Claressa's public crashes and her online altercations with content providers leave incredibly noticeable and long-lasting digital traces. We see a woman being teased. She is still legally married to her boyfriend. She is discussing having kids before a divorce is even finalized. That isn't power. This is an enormous amount of energy that just doesn't make her seem attractive. And here's the bit that nobody wants to discuss. Boxing is a short-lived sport. I keep emphasizing this point. Everything changes with a single injury, altercation, or pregnancy. So the question is, who can she rely on? Because she is currently flaunting six-figure jewelry, luxury, high-end design, and everything. Because she is currently flaunting luxury, high-end designer jewelry and six-figure jewelry. However, we also understand how the internet functions. The same individuals who are supporting her now will be the first to inquire, but where did your money go tomorrow? For those who are attempting to draw comparisons between her and Mayweather, you are aware of his penchant for flaunting his wealth and other possessions. That doesn't even make sense, baby. Floyd was making hundreds of millions of dollars. Claressa isn't. The difference between lifetime earnings and income leverage is enormous. Furthermore, if we're being completely honest, Floyd may be discovering the hard way that constant flexing has negative effects, because it's telling a story of going from luxury aircraft and nine-figure flights to Fashion Nova advertisements. Shame. Yes, so continuing with that strange behavior, discussing someone is a form of humiliation or hatred. This isn't condemnation or hatred, this has to do with strategy. Additionally, although the strategy is noisy at the moment, it is unsustainable. You see, sometimes it demands a little self-control, and silence is necessary for legacy. However, brands need someone who won't make them seem bad in 6 months.
I told y'all. Just wait till my hair gets me to my back. I ain't going, you know what? Just give me 3 more months. Because my I grow on y'all. Van Cleef, I got the Van Cleef, I got the Hall of Fame, I got the real Louis. Like, come on. Of course you're upset. Of course you're mad. Of course you're gonna lie. Of course. Why do you keep expecting people to play it fair with you? They gotta lie on you. Duh. Girl, look how fine. Champ, ain't nobody told you to be that. Are you, girl? Stop. But, been drinking my water, sipping my tea, minding my business, eating my vegetables, eating my grilled chicken, and that boutique, baby.
Keep in mind that she aspires to be an inspiration. She wants to work with young girls and wants you to send your kids to her camp. What will we be educating these young females on then? How to floss on the gram and be a good side chick? What on earth are we doing here? In any case, I'd love to know what you all think about the whole thing. Please share your thoughts with me in the comments section.